Well, I've been using since I was about 16, 15, but it picked up into a full-blown addiction probably about 17, 18 years old. You know, it started with alcohol and drugs and partying on the weekends, and then it turned into an everyday thing. Everybody kind of went to college and put everything down. I didn't want to put it down, you know, I still enjoyed it. The downfall of my addiction was when I got introduced to heroin. Yeah. I'd say that's when my addiction took a hard left. You know, before I could bounce back from the stuff pretty quickly, but when the heroin grabbed a hold of me, it put me down. It completely took control of my life. When I needed to get high, I needed to get high right now. By any means necessary, I had to do that. So I'm going to treatment centers, trying to get clean, and I'm doing really well in them. Every one I went to, I finished. I felt that I gave it 100%. And I would come out of these treatment centers and I would go right back to the same environment. And I would get wrapped back up in the mainstream of life, and I would forget that I'm an addict. I'd forget that I'm alcoholic. After overdose, and the years go on, I look around me and it's like, you know, I'm the only one left. All my using buddies, you could say. They were all gone. You know, everybody, each year I lost more and more of my friends that I knew. I can count at least 4 that were very dear friends to me, people that I had love for. And I was almost there several times. So they did a welfare check on me, and then they found me inside, and I was overdosed. I was barely breathing. So they rushed me to the hospital, and they kept trying to revive me, but I wasn't coming back. I would come back for a second, but then it would fall back out, and then they hooked the Narcan up to my veins, so it was running through me, and I kept coming up and going back out. So they had put me on life support, and they incubated me and stuff, and put me on the life support and a feeding tube, and while I was out, I was in the coma and stuff like that. I don't remember anything in the coma. They kept trying to shut the breathing treatment off, and I wouldn't start breathing back on my own. So at this point in time, they were getting really worried that either I was gonna have to be on a machine the rest of my life, which, you know, is pretty much the end of your days. Well, after the 8th or 9th day, I do remember one thing, and I do remember the nurse, you know, I heard her. She said, "You gotta stop." She said, "You gotta stop biting the tubes so we can pull them out." And for those 9 days, that's the only thing I remember. I had all my family around me. I had family come from out of town and get off work and come and see me because they thought I was gone. From what they told me, you know, they were constantly talking in my ear. I don't remember hearing none of it. But I do believe that was God talking through that nurse, you know, talking to me. For 9 days, people spoke to me. I didn't hear a single thing. But when it came time, God opened my ears. I do remember I was chewing on the tubes. I kept biting down on the tubes. I kept clamping them down, and I heard that voice. And they were finally able to pull the tubes out, and I started breathing on my own. I couldn't imagine what I put my parents through, my family through, my daughter through, her mother through, anybody that loved me, what I put them through. I feel like that's part of my testimony. That's part of who I am. Not to take life for granted, not to take this disease for granted. It gave me more of a sense of passion to want to help other people who are struggling or going through addiction, or maybe somebody who's been to treatment multiple times. Like I said, you know, this is my 9th time in treatment, and I'm still learning stuff. I'm still growing. I'm still trying. I'm not giving up. It's just like a person who's sick and goes back to a doctor multiple times until they start getting better. And that's why I feel like these places are here, and that's why these places are so loving and in open arms, because sometimes it takes more than once, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm taking a different approach trying to build my recovery around the church and the people in the church. That's why I'm still here. He didn't bring me back to not give it another shot. And there is a way out. And I believe that if you surround yourself like with Christian men, like here at Restore, and they have volunteers that are Christian men, and at the church that we're involved in building that community. And that's what I like about Restore, that I'm building a community of recovery. And we're developing a relationship that I know in my heart will continue after this place. They remind me of why I'm still here. We don't just focus on the drug and alcohol problem. We focus on the whole sin problem and the problem to the core. That's what Restore focuses on, not just the drugs and alcohol. You take them away, I was still very miserable. And then when I got the chance, it almost killed me when I used. I've learned that it goes much deeper than that. It's a spiritual problem. It's a spiritual warfare that I have to battle every day. And it is something that I can do. More of a permanent fix, an everlasting fix, and that's through Jesus Christ. Somebody might hear my story and they can relate in some type of way, or they know somebody that can relate in some type of way, and that this place, Restore, it's incredible here. It really is. I didn't intend to come here. God intended me to come here. So that's where I'm at.